All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to our talk on biological sciences at Leicester. The first about half hour of this talk will be a presentation led by an academic from the department, followed by a question and answer session. If you do have any questions at all, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A question box, and we will get a team member to answer those at the end. Hopefully you enjoy the presentation.
Hello everybody, thank you very much for joining us this evening. My name is Alison Snape and I'm the head of School of Biological Sciences. I'm also joined by Dr. Mark Leyland, who will speak shortly, and by Jagdeep Kaur, who's one of our Year 3 students. I'm just going to run you through some quick introductory points, and then Mark will come on and give you some more detail about our programmes. Could you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so this is just my little take. I often tell people at these open days that I have just arrived in Leicester not that long ago. It's now 2 years, so I guess I've been here a while, and before that I worked at another university. And what I'm going to give you now is a little take on what I think is so great about biological sciences at the university, why I would come here, why you might choose to study here. So one of the reasons is because our degrees are very, very flexible. What the images on the screen show you is that we're covering biological sciences across a wide range of areas. So we're going from the very molecular, so you've got your DNA molecule, up through microorganisms like phage and bacteria and infectious diseases. And then we're going perhaps to the human level, down below there, where we've got the whole body physiology and medical sciences. If we go up a little bit further, we've got the bumblebee, showing that we also study ecological and zoological sciences. And then below that, you've got a reminder for me that we've even started our own, the very first astrobiology module that we've running, because as you know, Leicester is the National Space Centre. So our degrees are very flexible. Mark will talk about that more in a moment. The other thing I would highlight is the fantastic tutorial support that you have here at Leicester. All universities will tell you about their personal tutor system, but what we have here is personal tutors who support you with a weekly meeting throughout your first term at university. They not only give you what we call pastoral care, looking after your well-being, but they're also teaching you some of the subject area, and therefore they get to know you extremely well, and they're going to then continue as your personal tutor throughout all of the 3 or 4 years that you're studying here. And then the other highlight that Mark will talk about more later is employability, where we really start embedding right from the start the sort of skills that you will need to get you a fantastic job once you've finished your degree. Can we go to the next slide? So I've given you some why biological sciences, why Leicester. Well, I came here, as I said, 2 years ago, and I find Leicester to be a really friendly and welcoming place. It's a city, but it's not too big. You can find everything that you might think you need in a city, but it's very walkable, distances are not too far, and the campus is right in the centre of the city, right near the railway station and all the facilities. But you've also got a lot of green space. So when I'm in Leicester, I walk to work across a park, which you might be able to see behind me on the screen, and what could be nicer than that? You want to come to the next slide? Thank you, Mark. So that's what I say. What do our students say? Well, they rank us very highly. You can see that on the Uni Compare, which are rankings and reviews by students, we're 9th in the UK. And on the National Student Survey, which is a survey that all graduating students do each year, we're in the top 30. You can see some nice comments there saying the university is very friendly, it's on a beautiful campus, the city's great, lots going on, student life is amazing, you get to mingle with new people. The university is a great university to go to, its staff and teachers push you to do your best, and it's great because they actually care about the well-being of their students. So we've been joined by another student, Safia, who's here, as well as Jagdeep, and later hopefully they'll tell you a little bit more about their comments as our biological sciences students. You want to skip to the next slide, Mark? One of the features we've got is that we do have guaranteed accommodation for all our first year students. You may hear about some of the unis where it's quite difficult to find accommodation. Students even have to go to another city. We have some accommodation really close to the campus, right at the end of the road on our campus, and some a little bit further away, but just walking distance or via the free student shuttle bus, and I'm told that even goes till 10 o'clock at night from the campus, so you can study late in the library and get safely back to your accommodation afterwards. And you can see that the prices are not too bad either, so it depends a bit on your accommodation, but from £69 a week. And we have the next slide. So this year's been quite a special year for us. You can see some of the awards that we've won or been shortlisted for in the slide there. So every few years there is an exercise called the TEF, the Teaching Excellence Framework, which ranks UK universities, and you can see at the TEF 2023, which is the latest one that took place, the University of Leicester got a gold award, so that's the highest ranking that we could have for our teaching excellence. We also rank highly in research, and we're one of the few universities across the country that has both the TEF Gold and its equivalent, a high ranking in the REF, the Research Excellence Framework. We're also very proud that we've won an award as the Daily Mail University of the Year. We know it's not 2025 yet, but it nearly is, and we know that we've won this award, and we were also shortlisted as the University for the University of the Year by Times Higher Education. So you can see that our excellence has been recognised by a number of rankings and awards. You want to go to the next slide, Mark? I think I'm about to hand over to you. So if we can pass over to Mark now, he will continue and tell us about the programmes.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Leyland. I'm one of the teaching staff at Leicester. I'm also what's known as a senior tutor that I'll talk about in a minute, and one of the admissions tutors. So if you come to Leicester, what we offer is a wide range of different programmes. So lots of things you can do, and we've just listed the courses that we offer here that you can see on the right. So very broadly, we offer what we call biological sciences programmes, and also these things called medical sciences programmes. And I'll explain a little bit more later how they differ. You can do 3-year variants, so they're the BSc courses, or you can sign up for one of the 4-year courses. These are the ones called the MBio Sci. And again, we also offer another 4-year programme, and that's the foundation year. So that's for students who just slightly missed the offer, or maybe have taken a wrong combination of A-level grades. So as you can see, there's a wide variety of different things, and we want our courses to be as flexible as possible for you, so that you can really decide on what it is that you want to do when you come to Leicester and choose something that's really exciting for you. So what will you get taught about? What will you do as you go through the years? So our first year is a common first year. You don't really have any choice in the first year, but what we've designed it for is so that you get a good general background in lots of different areas of biological sciences, and it means that everybody comes up to the same sort of level. So whatever you're going to be doing, you're going to be doing the same combination of modules. So in semester 1, you'll be doing a module that we run called the Molecules of Life, which is an introduction to biochemistry and molecular biology. You'll also be doing a large module called the Cell, which is an introduction to cell biology and microbiology. As you go into semester 2, that's the way we split things up in the year. So in semester 2, you'll be doing 3 modules. You'll be doing this one, which is an introduction to genetics. You'll also be doing an introduction to physiology, pharmacology and neuroscience. It's called multicellular organisation. And then the only difference between our biological scientists and our medical scientists is that biological scientists will be doing one on biodiversity and behaviour, which is really focused on ecology and zoology, whereas our medical sciences students will be doing a module called an Introduction to Medical Bioscience. So hopefully by doing this, this will give you a range of different skills and a range of background from the molecular up to the like whole animal and ecology level. How will you learn if you come to Leicester? So we want you to do lots of different things. So yes, there will be things like lectures, so large group teaching. There will be practicals where you'll be in the lab. There'll be smaller group teaching where you'll do tutorials. But there'll be other types of teaching as well that you'll come across. So we'll have drop-in sessions to help you learn how to do things. So for instance, our students have written a practical report earlier this year. So what they were doing, we ran sessions to help them put that together and learn how to use different programs. There'll be computer classes where you might do some statistics and learn how to analyze all the data. You'll get a chance to do some presentations, and there'll also be group work activity as well as working on your own. So a typical sort of week, if we have one, is probably about 16 contact hours a week. Now, if that doesn't sound like a lot, remember that you do have that independent study time as well. So you are expected to spend probably about an equal amount of time, working on other things related to your course. So that will be things like preparing things, getting things ready for an assignment, maybe revising some of the things you've done, maybe getting ready for practical classes. So we have things called pre-lab events before you come into the lab. So in the first year, it's getting you all ready to decide to specialise and choose the degree programme that you want to. At the end of the first year, there is a possibility for high-performing students to apply for a transfer to medicine. So I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on this. I just wanted to flag it up a little bit. There is this option to be able to apply. So you would need to have at least 75% in the first year. That's what we expect it to be next year. You would need to meet the minimum requirements for the medical school, so at least 3 Bs at A level. And you would apply through an internal transfer process. So that would be writing a personal statement. You need a current UCAT score. And again, they would invite you to interview if you performed well. It is a competitive option. So of course, as you can see down here, last year we had 26 applicants and the medical school interviewed 14 and accepted 10. So it is a possible way into medicine if that's something that you wanted to do, but it would only get you into the first year of the medicine programme. So it's something to bear in mind. If anybody's got questions about that or you want to know more, just put anything in the Q&A section and we'll happily answer it later. And that's the same true for anything else that we say. Pop a question in, and we'll come back and address it later. So what happens as you move on? So you've done the first year, you've got your basic grounding. What do you do in years 2 and 3? This is really where you start to build your degree, because what you're going to do is then you'll have a choice of modules. Now, depending on what you do, it will define what modules will be available to you. All of our students, whatever the nature of their programme, will do 2 core modules, so Research Skills 1 and Research Skills 2. That will give you good background into learning what it is to be a scientist and to develop some key skills. It's then up to you to decide on which module combinations you do. So in each semester, you will have a choice of 3 different modules in addition to the core module. Now, if you're a C100 biological sciences student, then you can really sort of plan your own module selection. So you might want to do a bit of genetics, you might want to do a field course, you might want to do some biochemistry. So lots of different things that are open to you, and you can sort of plan what it is you exactly want to do. So go with what interests you. Now, I can't say that every option is going to be available to you. Sometimes we do have some timetable clashes, but usually there's a huge range of different modules that you can choose from. So I think there's about 27, 28 modules currently in our second year. If you are on one of the specialisation programmes, and we've just shown, for instance, here, if you're doing something, say, like biological sciences, biochemistry, if that's the case, then you will have other certain core modules. So we've highlighted these in blue. So if you were doing biochemistry, you'd also have to do, in addition to the research skills module, you'd have to do molecular cell biology in semester 1. In semester 2, you do 2 other core modules that we've highlighted here. This would still leave you with option modules that you could choose, and we've just given some examples of the sorts of modules that you might come across. In year 3, it's a very similar approach. So again, you will have core modules, a key component of which is the project that will count for at least 25% of your final year. More about that later. But again, if we look at the physiology and pharmacology program, you can see that they will also have other core modules, again, picking up option modules from the other degree programs. So it's really up to you to decide what you want to do and to go with the things that interest you. So if you follow that approach, then we think that's the best sort of thing for you. And it's a way in which you can really follow what you want to do. We talked about biological sciences programs, and we also said we had medical sciences programs. So what actually distinguishes these 2 types of degree? In year 1, as you saw, there was only one module different between our biological sciences program and our medical sciences program. And that's the same true in years 2 and 3. So usually there's one degree specific module for our medical science students who do that. So if they were doing, say, medical physiology, they would do many of the same modules as the physiology and pharmacology students. But in addition to that, they would also do a unique module in year 2 called pathophysiology of disease. Likewise, in year 3, they were doing one called understanding disease. So in some ways, it gives you more core modules that you have to do. So it lowers your flexibility, but it does give you a chance to specialise in that medical area. I think it's worth pointing out as well that even if you're doing one of the biological science programs, there's a lot of modules with medical relevance as well. So we want you to experience a wide range of different topics. There are some different things you can do as well. So we offer field trips as part of many of the programs. Many of these are related to the zoology program, but they are open to other students as well. So there's a popular field course that goes to Mallorca in the Easter vacation. You can also do a more locally based one in year 2. So this is the Global Change Biology and Conservation module that's run in the East Midlands. There's also a 3rd year field course that you can go to in Devon. So because this is field trips are a core part of what makes a zoology degree. If you are on the zoology program, then there will be some funding towards this. If you decided to go from some of the other programs, then you might have to pay a little bit towards some of these things as well. There are also field trips associated with the microbiology programs that I've listed up here as well. Another thing that you can do between year 2 and 3 is look for a summer placement. So this is a really good way of gaining some experience. So each year we offer some laboratory placements. These are usually done in conjunction with a member of staff. So you'll be working in somebody's research lab, and this will give you a chance to work for sort of 6 to 8 weeks, gaining some experience, and will also give you a little bit of money that will pay some of your fees that you might incur as part of that. So maybe if you're staying in Leicester or if you've got some other accommodation needs. Something else you can think about as well is applying for a sandwich year. So either going on our study abroad program or our year in industry program. So if you wanted to experience a different country, maybe if you wanted to think about learning a different language, then you can apply to study abroad. So as I said, this is taken between year 2 and year 3. We've got various links with the universities in Europe and more widely based. So we've got, I think, 2 or 3 in Japan at the moment. There are several in the USA and Canada. So these can be either research based, so that could involve, say, working in a research lab or a university lab, or it could be a taught element as well. So lots of students go out and do this. A more competitive program is the Year in Industry program, but this is a really good way to get some excellent experience. So you're going to be spending a year as an intern with one of our partner companies. As I said, it's going to be very competitive because you're competing with students not just from Leicester, but from around the UK and Europe as well. But if you can get onto one of these programs, it's a really good thing to do. We will help you in this process. So our careers and employability team run a specific module that helps you tailor your CV, helps you go through the application process, and also brings to your attention any internships that we know about. So something to think about. You don't need to apply for it when you first come to Leicester. It's something that you can start thinking about as you move into the second year of study. We often get asked, how are we going to assess you? Because, we do have to assess you on something. So what sort of things, how are we going to test you? Very broadly, there's coursework that you'll do. So this is material that you'll do alongside your modules. And again, this could be a wide range of different things. So some of the things you might have come across before. So you might have written essays, you might have done lab reports. But we'll get you to do a wide range of different things. We'll get you to do presentations. We'll get you to do things like infographics, which are a very important part of what scientists do now. You might have to write, say, summaries of current scientific papers. We might get you to think about being a scientist a bit more, and part of the core research skills modules in the second year get you to think about writing a grant application. So doing something that a scientist would do if they were trying to gain money to do some research in their research lab. There are also projects as well, which are a special type of coursework that I'll tell you about in the next couple of slides. There will also be exams for many modules. So the exams are usually at the end of the semester, and these will test your application and understanding rather than just your factual recall. There will be elements of factual recall, but we want you to start to apply things, particularly in the second and third year as you go through this. Most modules have a combination of coursework and exams, although some modules are coursework only. So again, the weighting of exams and coursework will vary from module to module. As I said, in your final year, you do a large research project. Now, this will be at least 25% of your final year. And you can do various different types of projects. Probably the most popular type of project is an experimental project. This is where you're working in somebody's research lab as part of their research group. So it gives you a chance to spend about 11 weeks in the lab doing lots of lab work, working on a specific project that's been designed that integrates with the research team you enter. And we're just giving a couple of examples of things that you might do there. So in an experimental project, you're going to do the experimental work in semester one, and then you're going to write it up as a research paper in the second semester. Second most popular type of project is what's known as an analytical project. This is all done in semester one, and this is where you'll be working with a supervisor, so you're a member of staff in the school, and this will be based around, usually based around looking at evidence in the scientific literature, although there's a wide range of other things you can do as well. Some students also opt to do education projects, and we've also recently introduced more group-based projects as well. So your project is a key component of your degree programme. When you're working on a project, it can be that you're going to produce novel work, and that can contribute to scientific papers. So again, we've just shown a few examples of where students have had their work published as part of a research group as well. It's not just scientific research papers that are published. We've also had winners of things like the Green Gown Awards, where a project student, their work on some things on campus has resulted in them gaining this award. As I said, we do offer 4-year courses, so there's a foundation year programme as well. So remember, This offers an introduction to some elements of biological sciences, but also introduces key development skills as well and ways of working, because we find that many students who've just missed their grades, it's really the way in which they work rather than what they know that can be an issue. And again, we offer an integrated master's programme. So this is a 4-year programme that's in addition to the 3-year undergraduate one. I've talked about all the things that you're going to do, but we're not going to just leave you on your own to do it. There is lots of other support for that. As Alison said, we've got a personal tutor programme. So this is where you'll be with a member of academic staff, and they'll stay with you for the entire length of your programme, so 3 and 4 years. They'll meet with you regularly in the first semester of year 1. So you'll meet weekly with your personal tutor, and that'll be part of a small tutorial group. So again, you'll start to get to know a group of about 9 or 10 other students, so it gives you a good introduction to Leicester. There are also module directors, so people who look after the modules who you can go and talk to. We have a study well programme that was started in biological sciences and has been used in other departments as well. And there's also a university-based student welfare service. There are lots of other support mechanisms as well. So all of our lectures are recorded. So if you missed a lecture, then you can go back and look at it. We've got a digital learning environment where we put everything that's related to your teaching and make things available. And there's also an excellent library that's got lots of materials, but importantly, it's got lots of online books and journals. And in year 1, all the books that you'll be using are available as ebooks. As Alison said, another important part of coming to Leicester is thinking to the future. I know it seems a bit odd, you haven't even started at Leicester, but thinking about employability. But we will support you as well as you go through your studies. So the Careers and Employability Service has a dedicated team who will be able to offer you one-to-one appointments, who will be able to offer you various support when you're starting to think applying for jobs and internships. Again, there's lots of other online support that you can access as well. We also have various school-based activities. So we get students who have graduated to come back and talk to our current students. And again, once you get into your final year, you'll have found that you've got a larger range of skills that is perfectly useful to you if you're looking for lots of different employments. And we've just listed a few different sorts of things that you can go on to do. It's worth reminding as well that your support you'll get from the University of Leicester Careers Support will go on for your lifetime. So however old you are, you can come back to the Careers and Employability team and then we'll help you. So I'll just finish off by just reminding you about applying to Leicester. So I'm sure you've got maybe you've seen this, but our typical sort of offer is ABB. If you have a BTEC, we also accept those as well. And if you want to talk about any other sort of like different types of academic achievement that you've got, then you can always talk to us and we can advise you on what you need. So I'll leave it there for now and just leave you with saying that we talked about Leicester and we said at the start, why Leicester? I would say, why not Leicester? So we finished our presentation now, so we're more than happy to answer any questions. So I don't know if there are any questions in the chat at the moment that anybody wants to highlight. We have a look on there, we can say.
We've got a couple of questions, Mark. So we've got from Mutza, what's the best biological science degree to go for if you're interested in drug discovery works and synthesis? Oh, I think I would go with the pharmacology. Would you agree with that? So I think biological sciences with physiology and pharmacology, or potentially the biochemistry option actually as well, because there's quite a lot of relative material on drug synthesis there. So in drug design and discovery. So I think our flexible degrees would work quite well for you, because you could potentially take some biochemistry and you can take some pharmacology modules as well. So I think that might be the best. And then we've also got another question that is it better to apply for the BSc or MBiol for the medical biosciences degree? So the BSc is a 3-year programme and the MBiol Sci extends to 4 years. I think the answer to that is it's not too important because you always have the option to switch from one to the other. So if you come in on the 3-year programme, you have the opportunity to swap to the MBiol Sci in year 3, sorry, at the end of year 3. If you come in on the MBiol Sci and you decide during year 3 that you'd rather leave and go and do something else, you can just switch to the BSc and we'll give you the BSc degree, and you can exit at that point. So maybe come in on MBiol Sci because then you're sure of your place for 4 years. But remember, you can always swap out onto the BSc and leave after 3 if you would like. Do you think it's time to go to our students and ask them if there's anything they like to add? We've got Jagdeep here and we've got Safia. Jagdeep, would you like to just maybe say something about your experience as a student?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I'm a 3rd-year student currently, and I study medical microbiology. I'm quite enjoying my degree. I think coming into it, I was a bit confused on which one of the choices to go for. There's a lot of choices, and it's something that I feel like when I talk to students, it is what most people struggle with. Which one should I go for? I think something that Leicester is very good at is providing a good overall basis and knowledge of the different topics that can be covered by all of these degrees in your first year. So if at any point you feel like, oh, maybe if I came into, doing microbiology, but I'm more interested in neuroscience, there are a lot of opportunities for you to change your degree and, go for something that interests you more. I think that was something that was great in my first year. It was something that allowed me to really look into my interests and think, okay, which are the subjects that I find really enjoyable and understanding the most about. Something else that Leicester is very good at, as mentioned before, is the personal tutors. I think they provide you with so much support, not just in your first year, but even in your second and your third. You will have regular meetings with them over your semesters just to catch up on how you're doing, discuss any results from some of the assignments that you completed, or they also will help you if you need it with preparation for any exams. Sometimes I feel like as students we can struggle with getting started on revision or things like that. I think my personal tutor was very helpful on maybe discussing different techniques for revision. It was something that she really helped me with and I really appreciated.
That's great. Thank you very much, Jagdeep. We've also got Safia here. So Safia, would you like to add anything or give us your perspective? So you're also in year 3, aren't you? But you're studying medical physiology.
Yes, just adding on to Jagdeep's point about how diverse the courses are, I feel like doing a medical physiology degree, I've had a chance to also do quite a bit of microbiology, but also neuroscience during my 2nd and 3rd year. So even though I'm doing a physiology degree, I still have the chance to still deep into other topics while still focusing on my degree, which is nice because it still keeps you looking outside of what you're usually looking at. And being an international student, I feel like Leicester is quite a welcoming place as well. There's a lot of diversity, there's a lot of culture, and everyone is really nice. Like getting to know people, both staff and students, are really helpful. And yeah, I have no complaints.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Safia. I was just wondering, a question students often ask us, or offer holders or people considering applying, is can you give us a rundown of a typical day in your life? Maybe one of you would like to do that. I know it's different for different students and different for students in different years, but maybe you could just give us an idea of what a day is like for you. Who would like to go with that one?
Yeah, basically it's every day is different of the week. But it's quite spread out for me. Some days I have a 9 a.m. start. So those days is usually one lecture, or it depends, between 1 to like 3 lectures a day. Some are back to back, some have a few gaps in between. So usually in those gaps is where I'd go back, review some of my lecture materials, or go into the library. If we've got any assignments due, I typically work on those. If not, like currently in third year, it's mostly working on our experimental project, data, analysis, that type of stuff. So yeah, it's a good balance. It's not always just in a lecture hall. There's time for work, there's time for lectures, there's time for socializing as well.
Okay, brilliant. We have to finish fairly soon. So what we thought might be quite nice is if maybe Jagdeep first and then Safia can tell us a little bit more about their projects that they're doing in third year. Jagdeep, would you like to tell us about your project?
Yeah, of course. So I'm working in the respiratory sciences department. I'm currently working with a bacteria called Rhidococcus equi. It's a bacteria that causes respiratory illnesses in horses. Is something that's very prevalent in the horse racing business right now. And my project involves I'm currently doing desiccation assays. So this is basically putting your bacteria under some stresses to see how long it survives. So we're doing this to look at the role of the lipid bodies within the bacteria. So my hypothesis right now is that the lipid bodies in the bacteria help the bacteria to survive under the stresses. So my project basically consisted of doing desiccation assays and doing lipid inhibition assays to compare those to controls and see which one survives the longest.
Okay, that's great, Jagdeep. That sounds really interesting. And this is part of the actual research of the laboratory group that you're in, isn't it? It's their real research that they're doing that you're contributing to. So that's fantastic. Safia, what about your project?
So I'm working on GRK inhibitors, specifically neuron smooth muscle cells. So my project consists of 2 parts. One is actually proving that the GRK proteins are actually present in the cells that we're using. So to test that, we've been running Western blots and calcium response curves using 2 drugs, specifically histamine and oxytocin. And we do this by measuring calcium fluorescence every time we stimulate these cells. And then the second part of it is looking at these GRK inhibitors. So there's a lot of work published saying that these inhibitors are supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, but we're just trying to prove whether they actually are or not, and if they are, to what extent they are. So in order to do those, then we're doing concentration response curves and saturation analysis. And basically just doing a lot of statistical tests on those results to see whether there is a significant difference or not.
Okay, that's great. So both of you have nearly finished your practical work in that case, haven't you? Because you finish around about Christmas time and then you've got to write up this dissertation. after Christmas, don't you? And
Yeah.
then and then give a presentation on your work. That's the final assessment, isn't it? That you give an oral presentation. That's great. I think that's about time that we've got to wrap up in a moment. Mark, is there anything we maybe should have talked about and haven't in the last couple of minutes?
No, I think we've covered most things. If anybody else wants to ask any questions in the last couple of minutes, please feel free to just type it in the chat and we can do that. Doesn't look like anything at the moment, so
doesn't look like any new questions, and I think that perhaps our attendees are on their way to another talk, so maybe we can wrap it up at that point. Caitlin, is that okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you very much. I can see that Caitlin's put some more information and a link to where, if you need more information, you can find some on our website. Thank you very much, and I hope that you will be thinking about coming to Leicester.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Thank you, Jagdeep, Safia. Thank you very much.